Today we're going to be going over a pair of Ultimate Works Ahsoka hilts sold by the Pox store. These are really nice looking hilts. I really like the brushed aluminum finish on them. Like they look super clean. Um, my only gripe with them really is that the machining on the inside isn't really as clean as I'd want it to be. Like the chassis, going into the hilt, it's like a smooth finish, and then it kind of gets bumpy, and you can feel it. Like if you stick your finger into the hilt and kind of like rub up against the sides, you can feel like the rough finish. So I'm probably gonna have to go in there with like a Scotch Brite pad and clean it up a little bit more. Um, than what I already have. But that's really my only gripe with these hilts. But they're really interesting. The switch section, you got them down here, like where the screw is for the cover tech knob. This is actually a switch plunger, as well as this black circle here. And it's like that for both. Now the chassis solution, you can actually take them out, and if you want this to be the power, all you have to do is like insert it facing down or side, and if you want this to be the power, all you have to do is flip it and insert it back in there. So let's go ahead and go over the fonts. They do have the same fonts. The only difference is that this one has a solid green blade for the first blade style, and this one has a lime green one, just so that it can match how it is in the show. So I'm gonna pick up just one of them, go over the blade styles, and then show the chassis. I will turn this one on just so that you can see that it works, but I'm not gonna go over like all the fonts or anything like that, just because, like I mentioned before, they are the same thing. So let's go ahead and pick this one up, the Shoto, just because I really like the feel of it, and insert the blade. It is a snug fit. This is my test blade, and I've sanded this down quite a bit already, and it's still like a very snug fit. It's not like a terribly snug where you have to force it in there, but you could feel like the air tightness in it. I don't know why I even tightened that down, but I did. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is gonna, or I haven't mentioned it, but this one I have it set up for power right now, just because it's easier to not press it. And this one is the aux. So let's go ahead and turn them on. Right there, you got your lime green Ahsoka colored blade style. Got your force effects. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
Nice little Dodger blue, as Fet263 puts it.
Revenge is not the Jedi way.
I am no Jedi.
So looking at this on camera, this looks a little bit purple, but it's silver. It does have like a blue tint to it. That's the reason why it looks like this on camera, but in person it does look like the silver blade, like how it does in the series or in the show on Rebels. But there that is. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Anakin Skywalker.
Only a Sith.
I'm gonna skip over this one just because it's the same thing as the Anakin Skywalker one.
At last we will have our revenge.
Got your nice little flicker effect there. And there's just the back. Sorry about that, guys. I had to cut the video there for a second. Someone called my phone, and that's where I'm recording. So I forgot where I left off. This is just a custom blade style, not canon or anything like that. So let's go ahead and just turn it on. I just hit my phone. All right. And it's pretty much that. So let's go ahead and take the blade out. And like I mentioned, I will turn on the other hilt just so that you can see that it works. But after that, I'll take out the chassis. And look, you're gonna hear the air tightness in this. Oh, I lied. I'm a liar. All right. So let's go ahead and turn this one on now. And for this, I actually don't even use this blade retention. I use this part here just because it's a lot more convenient to use this. It's a lot easier, so it's like, why not use it, you know? All right. Now the blade's there. Tighten that down. Now it does kind of stick out a little bit. Unfortunately, there's nothing really you can do about that. Like, not much you can really do about that. But it's not like there's any exposed threads or anything. It's just like another inner circle in there. So let's turn it on. All right, so there's that, and like I mentioned, this is more of a solid grain as compared to the other one. So let's go ahead and look at the chassis. Got to take out the blade first. So to get to the chassis on these hilts, gotta get this to focus though. There we go. Okay, that's the first time I get that to work on the first try. All right, so to get the chassis on these out, what you would have to do is, well, you would of course have to unscrew the pommel. This has a 22mm speaker. It's fully enclosed, so it sounds super clear, super nice. And then you have to unscrew the switches. Now, you don't have to unscrew them all the way, but I mean, I hate playing the guessing game and knowing how much I can or can't unscrew, so I just unscrew them all the way. And you have to back this part out a little bit. It is a little bit involved for the shuttle hilt, just because this part sticks in all the way through. So after you're at this point, you can just kind of, let's see here, get the blade plug or your blade if you wanted to. You know what? I'm going to use the blade. Just kind of stick it in there and pop it out. Pop it out the bottom. You're going to see it right there in just a second. Sorry, I got to hold the shroud. All right. And there it is. So once you're at that point, well, of course, you can just use your hands to take it out from there. Let me just remove the blade. Put it to the side. All right. Now, once you're here, you can just get a grip on it, and you don't even really need a grip on it. You can just kind of get it out. Go ahead and put that down. So like I mentioned, it is a little bit involved for the shuttle hilt to take it out of the hilt and to put it in, just because this part sticks all the way through. It's not an issue that you have with the regular hilt, or with the, I guess the regular hilt, because it doesn't stick all the way, like these greeblies don't stick all the way through. But let's go ahead and put these switches back on. All right. Screw this one back on, and now the power switch. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so going over the chassis, this is what I came up with. Like I mentioned, there's not too much room to actually do anything with this chassis other than the essentials. So you got your your switches here on the side. You got your removable battery. You got your Profi board with access to your SD card. Now, for access to the SD card, you will obviously have to remove the battery. And these connectors are the ones that actually came with the kit. I asked the customer if he wanted me to use these or if he would want me to use some of mine. And he didn't have any issue with using these, so we just went ahead and did them. They light up really well and everything. And like I mentioned, I do have a 22 millimeter enclosed speaker. I don't really use 22 millimeter speakers too much. But in this case, it was the best option so that it could be fully enclosed. And I did use some rub and buff on the chassis, and there's some very, very light hints of like rusting in there. You probably can't even see it, like it's super light. You could probably see it a little bit better on these parts here. And like I mentioned, if you would want this to be the aux, all you would have to do, or I'm sorry, the power, all you would have to do is flip it and you would insert it this way as opposed to inserting it this way. And like I mentioned, the greebly work, I can't really do too much. Underneath here, underneath these greeblies is where the wire passages run through, and it is a very, very thin wire passage. So most of it was getting the negative wire to run underneath and behind the battery without having to like, you know, have anything like exposed back here or anything like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and put this down right here next to its respective hilt. And let's take this one out. So same thing for this one. All you got to do is unscrew this. Unscrew the switch. And unscrew the pommel to remove it. Now the pommel does have this black ring that is loose, so I would recommend you just take this off so that it doesn't fly out. Put that to the side. And just like before, you'll insert your blade and pop it out. This one's a lot easier just because the blade seems to fit with this one a lot smoother. See, and this is one of the things that I meant, like the inside machining like is a little inconsistent. Like this one, the blade fits like super smoothly, just no issues at all. This one is kind of like tight along the beginning, but you could feel like it gets looser, and it's weird. I'm not entirely sure how they clean up the inside, but I mean they could probably do better if I'm being honest. All right, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and pop out the chassis. So just kind of make sure that the hilt is in, and start pushing it with a little bit of force, and it's going to come out just like that. And just like before, once you get to this point where you can kind of like get a grip on it, you do exactly that. And slides right out. So let's go ahead and put that to the side and screw everything back on. Let's see here. Get the power switch, the aux, and lastly, get the pommel. See, this one isn't really as involved or as difficult as the other one. Not that the other one's difficult by any means. It's just like I mentioned, it's a little involved. So let's put this down now and go over the chassis. So this chassis is different in just two cents. It has a kill switch and it has a 24 millimeter speaker. It's not turned up as loud as it can be. This is a Smuggler's Outpost 24 millimeter speaker, and I'm actually going to turn it up right now because just now that I turned it on, I realized how low I have it compared to this Saber. But it does have the removable battery, the Profi, and it's got the exact same greebly work. The only difference is, of course, the tip on this is more flared out, and this one has a lip for the speaker. Since it's 22 millimeters, I had the option to add this little lip to fully enclose that 22 millimeter speaker. But it is essentially the same thing. Just like before, it's got the little tones of rust underneath everything, like if it's kind of chipping away. Got the rub and buff treatment for silver, and got the 2 switches here. And just like before, I usually insert it with the Profi board facing the clamp card, and that'll make this the aux, bottom, the cover tech wheel, the power. So if you would want it to be the other way around, all you got to do is flip it around. And just
Anakin, good luck.
flip on the kill switch. There's that. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys, to finish off the video. Just like always, I like showing the lightsabers with the blades in. So fortunately, I do have a second 7/8 inch blade that I can insert onto these. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, insert the blades, and come back and just finish it off with one final shot of these both with the powered on with the blade inserted. Got the first blade in. Now we're working on the second one. Ignore that. All right, so we got both hilts with the blade in. Let's go ahead and turn them on. That way you guys can just enjoy the aesthetic. There you got the nice lime green. And there you got the nice full green blade. This one actually looks a lot brighter because it's a lime green than this one. Gotta stick it apart a little bit. Alright guys, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one.